to know anything. And then I heard from a third party that there were issues, so I reached out to him many times, sent him texts, sent him calls. This is all before the season was over, and never heard back. And so I could never really find out what was going on. So for me, that's why it was so confusing. I didn't know where it came from. I mean, I would have loved to have had the chance to talk to him, and that's why I said yesterday, whatever I did to offend him, I apologize for it. I tried to do that in person and talk to him, but he just wouldn't allow me to.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take on a Wednesday. The crew all in tow. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman. I'm Molly Karam. How we feeling?
Welcome back,
How we living?
Thank you, brother. How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm all right.
I don't get one?
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
Listen, still waking up. We ready to do this?
Always.
Okay. The Steelers have been airing out all their dirty laundry over the past year. Well, Big Ben was trying to clean things up, telling Michelle Tafoya he regrets criticizing AB's play publicly on the radio because it ruined their friendship. Antonio, floor is yours. Tweeting this: never friends, just had to get my ends. Shut up already. Okay, then. Max, who do you think looks worse here? Is it Big Ben or AB?
The answer is actually Big Ben. AB is reacting to Big Ben here. Mm-hmm. Ben Roethlisberger, don't forget, once upon a time was a guy out of all the young quarterbacks in football. You go, him. That's the guy. Yeah. I like the cut of his jib. That's the guy I'd want as my quarterback with the game on the line. His standing in history actually is somewhat reliant on that feeling about him.
Yeah.
That's a bad thing for him to be wasting on AB. AB is not a franchise quarterback. I sometimes am on here criticizing him, saying he wishes he could throw the football, but that's not what he does. He's simply not as important as the quarterback. But when you are a franchise quarterback, what did Uncle Ben say? With great power comes great responsibility.
Well, if you're going to say
it's also in the Bible, but I like
if you're going to bring up Uncle Ben, could you at least tell people the movie? I know it's Spider-Man. You know it's Spider-Man. But stop assuming everyone else knows.
I know it's the Bible, but yes.
All right.
The point is, more is expected of a franchise quarterback. And don't give me this passive-aggressive nonsense like, oh, I didn't know. She just asked me a question. Michelle Tafoya. I mean, Michelle Tafoya, if you're going to sit down with Michelle Tafoya on a national stage on an interview, what do you think? She's not going to ask you questions like that?
She's a vet.
I guest hosted Pardon the Interruption with Michelle Tafoya 17 years ago. And she had her reps in back then. Yeah. Stop. So he knows what he's getting into. The reason you sit down for that interview is to message, is to spin. So on the one hand, Stephen A., he's sitting there going, oh, I regret it. And then came I was listening for it, but I regret it, but it's his fault. I threw out the same challenge to our other receiver taken in the second round receiver who's going to be really good. And he thanked me for it. Why didn't AB? You'd have to ask him. It's the same thing when he does that all shucks thing in front of the reporters right there. Do I regret it? Ben is the one with the weekly radio spot, not AB. Ben is the one putting out the quotes that AB's responding to. And, by the way, Antonio Brown deleted the tweet. He thought better of it. More is expected of Ben Roethlisberger as a franchise quarterback, and he is doing a passive-aggressive number on Antonio Brown right now.
You're wrong. You're wrong, and you're missing it in my estimation. I take no pleasure in saying this because I personally like Antonio Brown, but he looks worse and worse with each passing day because the things that he has done is indicative of an individual who has taken divaness, for lack of a better word, to another level. This is what he has been doing. Excuse me, Juju Smith-Schuster didn't say anything about him. You saw how he went at Juju Smith-Schuster. He goes at anybody who remotely disagrees with him in this particular day and age. He is about himself, and that is what he has proven to be. I am not trying to absolve Big Ben Roethlisberger by any stretch of the imagination. I was the guy that spoke to Antonio Brown months ago. I was the guy that came on national television and talked about how Big Ben Roethlisberger is not faultless in any of this. I recognize the fact that there are things that Big Ben Roethlisberger could have done better. They are both at fault. But when the question is asked, who's looking worse? Think about the quote that Antonio Brown put out there. Never friends, just trying to get my ends. In other words, you don't mind, as they said it back in the old days, perpetrating a fraud, acting like you something that you're not, just to get to your ultimate goal. So I might pretend to be cool with you. I might pretend to be your friend. I might pretend to be vibing with you and be getting along with you. But in reality, I really don't like your behind. I'm just trying to get paid.
No, it doesn't mean that.
No. Wait a minute. I'm only going by his quote. I'm not bringing anything else into the equation because we're having this subject. We're having this conversation right now because of the exact tweet that Antonio Brown put out in the aftermath of Big Ben Roethlisberger's conversation with Michelle Tafoya. That's all we're doing. All the other stuff that you might bring up, that I might bring up, we've already discussed. We're not debating that.
I'm
talking about this specific quote. Never friends, just trying to get my ends. In other words, he was never your friend. You were never trying to vibe with him. All you were trying to do was get paid. You ain't give a damn about Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Hold up.
And what I'm saying is that's what can be peeled from this particular
Number one,
quote.
he deleted that tweet. He thought better of it. Number two.
And why do you think that was?
Because he realized
Are you sure it was
petty
him?
going back and forth.
Are you sure it was him or he was convinced to do it?
Whatever the case may be. There's a difference between friends and friendly. You can go to work and have colleagues and be friendly with them, but your definition of friendship might be different. So he wants to get along with his quarterback, of course. By the way, Antonio Brown in the past has been critical of teammates who left and talked about their quarterback. He's talking about that's how you work. You need to get along with the quarterback.
Let me give you a little context, because research did some digging. 2014, AB tweeting this in response to Twitter question, who's your best friend on the Steelers? AB responded, Big Ben. 2016, posted 4 pics, National Best Friends Day, a hymn with Big Ben.
That flies in the face of what I said. However,
so I don't know who we're supporting with that.
Because still, you want to get along with your quarterback. He throws you the ball. How do you work that unless there's some chemistry?
See, what you're talking to me about, you're talking about what it could be interpreted as. Fair. I'm telling you what I believe. And I'm saying to you that when the man says, if somebody that I was teammates with, that I worked with for 6 years, that ultimately we parted on suspect terms, that we've been a back and forth in such and such a way over the last few months, comes out after I go on national television and interview, and I say, I wish you nothing but the best. I'm sorry it didn't work out. And he sits there, and his response to that is, never friends. I'm just about my ends. What that's saying to me is, man, I was never feeling you. I never liked you. You never meant a damn thing to me. You were just a quarterback, and I needed you to throw me the damn football so I could get my numbers and get paid. That's how I'm going to interpret that. I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. I'm quite sure it can be deduced in that fashion by some people. I'm telling you what I believe. And what I believe, listening to that damn quote, is that he basically said, Ben Roethlisberger, I never really liked you, you know what? I just said what I needed to say so you could continue to throw me the football. I could get these numbers. I could get paid, and I could be gone. I never liked you.
That's human nature, too. You got hurt feelings, especially if you were actually once friends. You might say something like that. Look at me. I got paid. I was just using you.
Never friends.
The point is, the way you characterize Ben Roethlisberger's interview is not right. I
didn't
wish
characterize it anyway.
Steven is taking it at face value.
Yeah,
he believes him that they were never friends. He was just playing the game.
What I'm saying is Antonio Brown's reaction to what Roethlisberger said. You got to read between the lines on what Roethlisberger said. You're like, he wished him nothing but the best. I wish him nothing but the best. But you may have to go ask him why he's such a problem. But I told James Washington the same thing, and he called me to thank
you. You are focused on Big Ben. I am focused on Antonio Brown. I'm not interpreting Big Ben's interview anyway because their recent history is what it is. I don't give a damn what Ben Roethlisberger said to Michelle Tafoya. We're asking this question about who looks worse, and I respect your position. I'm not saying that you're wrong for taking your angle. I'm saying understand my focus. Don't think about what I'm saying about Antonio Brown and think it's emanating from, Ben Roethlisberger's interview with Michelle Tafoya. I am saying when you say the quote, never friends. When a brother says that, never friends. Whoa, okay, so it's like that. You really didn't give a damn about me at all. You really didn't care about me at all. We weren't really cool at all. What you were trying to do, I was trying to get paid. I needed you to facilitate that by throwing me the damn football, so I kissed your butt a little bit more than I wanted to. I took pictures, us hugging one another. I didn't give a damn about you. I was just trying to get paid.
First of all, I don't think that's a black or white thing. I think anyone who said that, you can interpret it that way. You said when a brother said.
Then why the hell ain't you? Why ain't you interpreting it that way then? Since anybody can. He said never friends.
I can give you that interpretation.
All right,
you
then
can
give it
take
to
it that
me.
way. It doesn't mean he looks worse. Are receivers known as divas? Are star receivers known as divas? Yes or no? Yes, many of them. Are quarterbacks?
Listen, we have the perfect guy coming up to answer that question. Guys, got to leave it there. Is Andrew Luck's retirement a huge problem for the NFL? Just give me the damn ball. Keyshawn Johnson